4 sounds, cracking, fast from somewhere behind the wall, and then the room goes silent. All 2,600 people. At once, in a single second. The way rooms only go silent when everyone in them has heard the same thing and nobody knows what it means yet, but everybody in the room knows it means something. That is the moment. That is when it starts. Not the shots themselves, the silence after. You are 40 feet from the President of the United States. He is on the stage at the front of the ballroom, seated at the head table in a dark suit, leaning forward watching a mentalist do a card trick. You are at a round table with a burrata salad going warm in front of you and a glass of water you haven't touched and 600 other conversations happening around you. 1 second it is all there, the next second it is gone. And in the silence, what comes through the doors of the Washington Hilton ballroom is a wall of men moving faster than men in formal settings are supposed to move. Everything after that happens in a sequence you will spend weeks trying to put back in the right order. You are under the table before you decide to go there. That is the thing nobody warns you about. The body does not wait for the brain. 1 second you are in a chair and the next second the chair is empty and you are on a hotel ballroom floor in a rented tuxedo with your face 4 inches from the carpet and your brain still 3 seconds behind trying to catch up. The carpet smells like cleaning products and old wine. You will remember this detail for a long time. The doors at the back of the ballroom have opened and what came through them is still moving. Secret Service agents in dark suits flooding down the center aisle, not running but covering the distance faster than running, a controlled surge that reaches the stage in seconds. The raised seating area at the back of the room has already gone down. People with phones out filming before they have fully processed the situation because that reflex is faster now than the fear reflex. Some of them will regret this later. Some of them will file the footage before midnight. From the floor, lying flat on your side, you can see the stage under the tablecloth. The head table is being cleared. The vice president is pulled backward out of his chair by an agent who grabs him by both shoulders and physically lifts him. He is moving before he is standing. The first lady is up and gone. Cabinet members are being moved from every corner of the room simultaneously. Security details that have been sitting invisible at adjacent tables now activating. Each one moving a specific person in a specific direction through specific doors that were there all along but that nobody who didn't need to know about them ever noticed. Someone near you says, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," in a voice that is completely flat and even. The voice of someone whose fear has looped past panic into something that sounds like calm. On the stage, the president is still there. His detail is around him, but he has not moved yet, and you can see this from the floor. And it will strike you later, much later, that in the footage, the expression on his face in those seconds is not afraid. It is the face of a man who has been through this twice before. A man who had a bullet graze his ear at a Pennsylvania rally. A man who had someone waiting for him in the trees at a Florida golf course. The threat is closer now, indoors, more intimate, but the face is the same face. Then the agents close around him completely and he disappears. "Get down." The voice comes from the aisle. "Stay down, do not move, stay where you are." Here is what is happening on the other side of those ballroom doors. At 8:40 p.m., 1 floor up from where you are lying on the carpet, a man runs at a security checkpoint. He has a shotgun. He has a handgun. He has multiple knives. He is a guest at the hotel, checked in under his own name, a 31-year-old from California who this morning sent his family a document in which he wrote clearly that he wanted to target administration officials. His family sent it to police. Police were already moving when he moved. He barrels through the metal detector at full speed. He fires. A Secret Service agent goes down. The bulletproof vest catches the round. The agent is alive. 2 seconds later, the suspect is on the staircase that leads down to the ballroom, and then agents are on him, and he is on the floor, and it is over. He is on the ground in handcuffs in the hotel corridor, 30 feet and 1 staircase from 2,600 people eating salad and listening to a mentalist, and he never reaches any of them. The system works. Barely, in the most critical sense, but it works. Back in the ballroom, all you know is that something happened and agents are everywhere and the instruction is to stay down. The gap between what is happening and what you know is happening is the purest distillation of what terror actually is. Not the facts, the absence of facts. The moment between the sound and the information when all your brain has to work with is the sound. You stay on the floor. You do not move. The journalist 2 tables over is doing a live phone call from the ballroom floor, lying completely flat, voice barely above a whisper, describing what she can see from a vantage point of approximately 3 inches above the carpet. 20 years of instinct overriding everything else. The agent at the edge of your vision has a rifle. His eyes are not on you. They are on the doors. A congressman from Florida is under the table directly to your left. He will tell the story later of how the House Majority Leader grabbed him by the arm when the agents came. He had stood up and said, "Can I come with you?" The Majority Leader told his security detail, "He's a member." They grabbed him. This is how it works in the actual moment. Not protocol, proximity. Whether the person next to you is moving and whether they pull you with them. The person doing the mentalist act has ended up on the floor face to face with the president as the agents brought him down. He didn't hear a shot. His first thought was bomb. He thought, "We are about to die." He will say later that he wasn't sure whether what he was watching was the president being tackled or protected. From that angle, in that second, there was no way to know. He had told an interviewer 3 days ago that reading the president's mind would be the most impressive thing a mentalist could ever do. He had said tonight was going to be the reason people talked about him for years. He had one moment planned, one jaw-dropping reveal that he had been building toward for 10 years. He got his jaw-dropping moment, just not the one he rehearsed. The voice comes over the room's PA system at some point in the next 2 minutes. Measured, controlled. The situation has been contained. Please remain where you are. Law enforcement is in control of the situation. Nobody moves for a full minute after that. Then slowly, like a tide going out, the room starts to right itself. Chairs scraped back, people standing. Some of them are shaking and some of them are not. And the ones who are not are the ones who have spent careers adjacent to exactly this. The head table on the stage is empty. The flowers are still there. The place settings are still there. The water glasses full. The mentalist's cards still on the white tablecloth where he left them when the agents came. The room has the specific quality of a place that was designed for one thing and briefly became another. At 9 p.m., the head of the Correspondents Association comes back to the stage and says the program will continue momentarily. Nobody believes this, but nobody argues. At 9:20, security personnel begin clearing the ballroom. The evening is over. The president leaves the hotel at 9:45, an hour after the shooting, in a motorcade that is formed in the car park while guests were still on the floor. He goes directly to the White House. He is uninjured. The First Lady is uninjured. The Vice President is uninjured. The agent who was shot is at a hospital and is, in the president's words at the press conference he gives later that night, still wearing his dinner clothes, in great shape. The vest saved him. The suspect will be arraigned Monday on 2 federal charges. The motive is under investigation, but the document his family sent to police tells a clear enough story. He wanted to kill people in that room. He had written it down. He had checked into the hotel the way a regular guest checks in, and he had waited and he had moved when he moved, and he was stopped 9 seconds and 1 staircase from a ballroom containing the Vice President, the Secretary of State, the FBI Director, the heads of Treasury and Defense and Health and Justice, the Speaker of the House, and 2,000 journalists who cover all of them. Someone asked the president at the press conference whether he thinks he was the target. He says, "I guess." Someone asks why he has been targeted so many times. He talks about Lincoln. He talks about the people who do the most being the ones they go after. He says it like a man reading from a history book he has already made peace with. He has been shot at in Pennsylvania. He has had someone waiting for him in the trees. And now this. The same hotel where a man shot a president in 1981. The same building. 45 years apart almost to the day. He says he fought like hell to stay at the dinner. He says leaving was the right call. He says he wants to reschedule within 30 days. He posts the CCTV footage to social media before the press conference ends. This is who he is. This has always been who he is. The Washington Hilton reopened Sunday morning. Other than the signage from the dinner still up in the lobby, there are no indications anything happened here the night before. Business as usual. Guests checking out. Staff who weren't there last night arriving for their shift knowing only what they read on their phones. You walk past it on your way to get coffee. You look at the entrance. The checkpoint is 1 floor below where you are standing. 30 feet of corridor and a staircase. That is the distance between last night and something much worse. What stays with you is not the shots. You barely heard them. What stays with you is the silence. The way it dropped. Instant. Total. 600 conversations happening and then none. The specific quality of a room full of people all realizing simultaneously that something they cannot yet identify has just changed. You have been in rooms where things happened. You have covered the aftermath of events that produced that same silence in you as a reader, as a viewer, as someone absorbing news from a safe distance. You know the thing that happens when you hear it at a remove, the jolt, the scroll, the 4 seconds where you read it twice. You have never been in the room. Now you have. You get your coffee. You open your laptop. You write it down before the clarity starts to fade, because it will fade, because the brain smooths everything eventually and you want to capture the texture of it while it is still this sharp. The carpet smell. The even voice saying, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." The mentalist's cards on the empty table, the full water glasses, the silence. The body knew before the brain did. It always does.